like that. So I got to do more
Yeah.
of that. I got to do
There's a
more of that.
whole world out there.
There is. There really is,
There's an
man. It's
entire
like
world out there.
I've traveled, but I've always went to like big cities. I go to Vegas, I go to New York, I go to like I've been to Germany, I've been to like, I've been in the Middle East when I was in the military, like what's it called? Fuck. It was a big city in the Middle East. Huge. It was one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. Qatar. I went to Qatar.
Cool.
But yeah, so it's like I've never got to experience that stuff too much. So yeah, that's awesome. And that's awesome. You get to like hang out and sit there and just help someone and
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely is a blessing.
it really
Definitely
is.
is a blessing.
So one more question before we get started because I'm gonna let some people trickle in here. How do you like so do you get like referrals? People just refer you, or do you run ads, or how do you find people that?
So I work for a handful of different
Oh,
companies as a contractor. And
okay.
then what they do is they kind of send me a text message with some of the details. They ask me if I'm available, if it's something that's even of interest to me.
Yeah.
And then you go from there. It's kind of like a matchmaking process.
Yeah.
Literally like you present a bio of like who you are, what you're about, and then when a client kind of like calls in and wants to be paired with somebody, what they do is they'll present three different bios, and then the family will then pick who they essentially want. Because I mean, the idea is that like you really match well with the client because
Yeah.
like you're going to be one living with them. Like I live in home with them
Yeah.
24/7.
So is this a person's
So,
home?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So, and then yeah, they just want to make sure that it's a good fit because I mean
Yeah.
it's not cheap what it is that we do.
Yeah,
So
sure. All right. I'm just sending out one more
but
quick.
that's the reason why I'm like trying to really get my Instagram off the ground because I'm a big believer of like equitable access. Like I want to make sure that everybody has access to the same
Yeah.
information, even if they can't necessarily afford like the full 24 hand-on support. Like that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the right to be able to still access the same information.
Yeah. I love that.
What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Happy
um,
Saturday.
this is our wild Saturday nights consist of I'm cooking and doing, cleaning and stuff. 6 years ago, I'd be deep in a nightclub right now or getting ready to go to a nightclub.
I think it would still be too early. I usually didn't hit it until 12.
I was knocked at this time. I was snoozing hard.
Yeah, no,
Wake
I
up
mean,
like, yeah.
I was obviously a DJ, so I was working. And so I'd get there probably about like 8:39 to like get settled, to get started, start pounding some drinks and getting, oh God, what a shit show, man. What a shit show. But don't miss it at all. I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes. I tell you what, like I'm gonna start getting fired up at these people that week after week don't show up to the calls. We should have at least 10 people coming in here.
Yeah,
But I know a lot of them trickle in like 5 minutes late. So,
yeah.
but thank you to Lissy. Thank you to all you guys. Chance, Helena, Craig. Who else is that? Who's over there? Oh, what's up, brother? So I appreciate you guys because you're here every week. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
That's amazing.
Chance doesn't miss it. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Community is so important. And I love that you have this, especially like on the weekends when like,
Yeah. That was the idea. Like,
opportunities arise. Huh?
yeah, that was the idea. I was like, I'm gonna do it like on a Saturday night when most people would be going out and drinking. We're gonna just sit
Yeah.
here and chat.
Yeah, I love
Um, but yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me check in with you guys real quick. So Halana, tell me something good. Tell me some wins from this week.
Well, despite being up since 3 a.m. and working, I've been at work, moving, like taking walks during my breaks and then upping my protein. My thing I'm having trouble with though is logging all of it because I'll make like a meal
Yeah,
and then trying to log it and
yeah.
associate it with something. So I don't know if I'm totally meeting the total macros, or I know my protein's been high though because I've been in the gym pounding weight since
Nice.
I've been upping my protein.
Hell yeah.
So but I'm like anyways, but yeah,
So
so walking, moving with intention, and bringing up my protein, and then been pounding more weight in the gym. So
you've been crushing it. I tell you, the one thing with that is it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like try to
Mhm.
get something that's as close as you can. Like tonight, I'm making a thing that has like 8 ingredients in it, and I'm going to do my best. But the cool thing is,
Yeah.
you could sit if it's something that you're going to have a lot, you could sit down and save that as a favorite, and you put all the ingredients in it, and do the calculations one time, and you never have to do it again. So that just have to take your time. Um,
But then it's like breaking it up in pieces though. So if I'm making like a big huge frittata
yeah.
for like cottage cheese, egg, and egg whites, and then my vegetables and stuff like that, like then how do I'll
Well,
do
you
all the ingredients, but then how do I?
well, I mean, so for instance, like I've got all this shit. I calculate how much the bag of vegetables I put in, and so I'm doing it's just ground beef with like peppers, onions, a little bit of cheese, this sauce, that sauce, some fucking whatever. So you just calculate how many calories you're putting in the whole thing that you're making, and
Okay.
then you split it up by how many servings, So like I
Okay.
know that
That
what
makes
I'm making is
sense.
2 pounds of ground beef. I know that there's like, however many vegetables. I know that I've got some potatoes. I've got all this shit, one big pot. And I know that I'm going to turn this into like 4 servings. So I'm just
Okay.
going to put it all, calculate it, divide it by 4, and there you go. Even though, I mean, like I said, just get as close as you possibly can.
Got it.
Um, cool, cool, cool. You're doing great as always. All right, so let's pop around. I always pick on Chance. Chance, tell me something good, man. Let's hear it. What do you got?
Oh, really good news. Everything's been pretty maintained well, upbeat. Definitely A1 with sobriety, which is
That's the number one.
that's that's just a good feeling. Not even taking it lightly, but it's just really coasting with that. Second, the only thing I did have a disturbing dream, guys. Other than
Yeah.
that, I don't know what the hell was on my mind, but I had a dream I was drinking and I could
Yeah.
taste that damn
Yeah.
vodka. I
Yeah.
don't know what that was about. I have not in a space where I'm like craving or even going through any of the stuff I have gone through. I've noticed with my recharge of just mental strength and meditation and different perspective, I'm even handling that better. So I don't know what that dream was,
Yeah.
but I mean,
That's
it
it.
was so vivid. I could actually smell
Yeah.
it and taste it.
Kind of
And you know
scary.
what? I didn't remember it until the next day
Yeah.
doing something. I was like, wait a minute, I did dream I was drinking again.
Yeah,
But I don't know what that was
that's your
about.
subconscious fucking with you, man. It's like trying to remind you,
Yeah,
hey, remember me? Come back.
yeah.
It's like
I don't
Freddy
know what
Krueger. It's like Freddy Krueger in your dreams.
it was trippy because it was very. I remember the ice, the smell, the taste.
Yeah,
I was good. I was sleep. I was in a good sleep. I had everything
yeah.
off. So I don't
So
know.
I was in, those things will happen. Like, but it's crazy. Like your subconscious doesn't know time, and those things kind of they just stick with you. You might have that dream for a fucking long time. I was in the military, and obviously, and I was in war and everything, and that was what fucking 20 years ago now, and I still have dreams every once in a while, and it's the same dream. It's I'm dreaming I'm out in the middle of a desert and I lose my M16 and I'm like freaking out because like people are trying to kill me and it's scary and it comes up all the time and not as much as it used to, but yeah, it's just like it's crazy, man. Those they your brain is an interesting fucking device, man. All right, so I want to go to someone new here. Where are we at? I saw Caesar here. Caesar, where are you at? I saw him somewhere.
Hey,
What's up, brother? Tell me something good,
hey,
man.
let's see, something good. I'm started a new project this week with work.
Okay.
Hi.
So far, pretty good. Like 10 pounds of shit in a 5 pound bag, but
I hear it.
it's
I hear it.
it's getting handled. So, it's good. It's a nice project, so I'm happy to do it. I got a good team there. Getting back in the swing of things as far as, working out, starting the program, feeling good.
Okay. How's the nutrition?
Uh, just need to tighten up my diet a little bit.
Yeah. I'm
But
looking,
overall, man, I'm feeling good and
pulling
really
it up
positive.
now.
So
All right. I'm gonna spy on you guys in a little bit after I'm done with the call and see what you guys are doing. So that's awesome. And again, thanks for being here. You've been here what, 2 weeks now?
yeah, so this
Okay.
was my first week starting the exercises. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's fucking crush it, man.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. So Let's see, guys. Oh, that's all right. You get your cameras off. We'll cut to the chase. I've got Ashley here. I met Ashley on Instagram, and she's a sober companion, and she's got her own story. And honestly, I actually took a deep dive into her content, and when I started following her, and she's got some really awesome stuff. So I do think you guys should definitely give her a follow. Again, after we're done, I always share the stuff in our group chat. So Ashley, it's all you. Take it over.
All right, thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to kind of skim over my story and leave space for questions. I feel like, whatever you guys need is probably most important use of time. So I'm Ashley Elizabeth. I am 5 years in recovery. My former substance abuser items were predominantly alcohol and cocaine. I fell into addiction for more than 10 plus years. I heavily lived in the space of denial because I was high functioning. And high functioning meaning I, had all the boxes checked, right? I had the six-figure career. I had the extensive education. I'd gotten a master's degree. I had kept a 4.0 GPA. I wasn't missing work. I was handling all my responsibilities. So like I didn't have a problem, right? Like that was my perspective. Um, my family obviously had different perspective around it. I was constantly told that I needed to go to rehab, and my response was go fuck yourself, because I didn't want to hear it and I didn't want to go. I did get a DUI 2 months after I got my master's degree. I blew a 1.6 on the side of the road, and I would love to say that that's what stopped me, but it didn't. I still kind of continued to spiral even after that. But I did try to go to therapy, and my therapist was like, maybe you should go to AA. But I really wanted to get to the root as to why I was drinking. And I really did not appreciate her just trying to push me out the door and into a program that I personally just didn't resonate with. And so with that, I broke up with her immediately. And what I did was, so my background is in behavioral psychology. I taught children with autism for about 13 years, supporting them in nervous system regulation and behavioral change. And so essentially what I did was I leveraged my education and my professional experience and designed a program for myself. So with that being said, I basically went on this whole mind, body, soul detox. I walked away from alcohol and cocaine immediately. I also went vegan. I stopped listening to a lot of the old music that I listened to. I stopped following any content on social media that didn't empower me. And I just walked away from a lot of the friends that also weren't in tandem with like my life decisions. So essentially, I just like I said, I went through this whole mind, body, soul detox. And at the time, I was living in California. And so I was kind of on the Cali sober route. So I was still utilizing cannabis at that time while I was still figuring out other positive coping strategies when shit hit the fan. So some of the things that I really leaned on were bubble baths. I had a bathtub easily accessible to me, so I used that to regulate my nervous system. I did relapse a couple of times off of cocaine. I personally think that relapse is part of the journey. I don't believe in shaming or guilting. I see it as an opportunity to reflect and redefine and redetermine like, okay, what path do I really genuinely want to be on? And that has helped me immensely over the course of my healing journey. Some of the stuff that I will be talking about coming up on my social media, which is obviously like being revamped at this moment, but I used psychedelics in my healing journey. So I used psilocybin, things like that, that really just helped me with reprogramming like my neurological connections, and really just kind of sitting with the actual trauma that I had endured over the course of my life. That's the reason why I was drowning it all out with substances, because I don't believe that substances are the problem. I think that they're the poor solution that we've all been handed. And that was what I was utilizing at the time until I kind of found other alternate solutions to support myself. So anyway, so I've been on this path for 5 years. I've gone down a deep, deep, deep hole of healing and just redefining who I am as an individual. And now what I do is I am a sober companion, a certified sober companion. So I travel across the globe and around the country, supporting people in recovery in their home. I believe that real-time support is the most essential when on this path, because we can give you all the tools in the book, but if you have completely lost your shit, it's really hard for you to kind of lean on those tools, because you are obviously like just so overextended in like your energy that like it's hard for you to kind of lean on things that you haven't yet mastered. So I'm there when 2 a.m. hits, when your boyfriend breaks up with you, when your mom's pissing you off, when all these things happen, providing you and coaching you and helping you through it. Now, some of the things that I find to be the most supportive for my clients is just understanding that any change, no matter how small, is so monumental on this path. You do not have to change your entire life to make progress. It is the tiny little wins that compound on a day-to-day basis. And that is essentially where progress is made, are in those tiny little wins every day. So it's not you have to meditate for an hour. It's like, could you sit by yourself with your eyes closed for 2? You don't have to go for a 5-mile run. Could you go outside for a brisk walk for 5 minutes just to get some fresh air? You don't have to completely change your diet, but maybe minimize some things that are definitely not necessarily supporting you. Things like that. So anyways, that's it in a nutshell. That's who I am. But I'm absolutely happy to answer any questions and provide any support while we are here.
Alana, I know you's got something.
I do.
I know.
Still, how do you say it? Psilocybin, if I'm saying it correctly.
Yep.
How would somebody go about wanting to take that journey to
Great
kind of get to
question.
root
So
to get to the root, of healing and stuff like that?
absolutely. So I'm creating a course right now. So after I left, so I lived in Silicon Valley. I worked in the public school system, like I said, as a teacher. And basically I walked out on that system because I didn't believe in it. And what I did was I actually sold my entire life. I sold my furniture, my car. I literally flushed my credential down the toilet, and I relocated down to Costa Rica. And while I was down there for 2.5 years, I worked in a psychedelic retreat center. I worked in the psychedelic space. And it was really beautiful watching people have life altering experiences. But what was missing was the integration after they came home, right? Again, going back to what's happening when your mom's pissing you off, when your boss isn't, honoring the work that you're doing, when your roommate's not taking care of dishes, when your kid's going crazy, like who's there helping you in those real life experiences. So the long-winded answer is that there's a lot of education that goes around psychedelics in general, right? It is a hot topic right now, but there is not enough education around what is the proper way to do it, right? Because a misconception around what psychedelics are is that they are a pill that's going to fix everything, and that is not how it works. That's not how it works at all. The medicine is 1% of the journey, and the integration is the 99% after that. You can take medicine all day, but if you do not change your lifestyle, if you do not incorporate healthier habits, you are literally not going to make any progress. So with that being said, like I'm happy to provide alternate support outside of this and provide you with education, because really what it is you need to work on regulating your nervous system first and having those tools mastered, because if you do not have those tools mastered and some of the trauma and the things that you've essentially been using the substances to disassociate from, if you're not in a grounded space, that could extremely dysregulate you and send you right back to square one. So before I ever encourage anybody to sit with psychedelics, there is a lot of prerequisite work. There's a lot of education that I want to share. There is a lot of information that needs to and work that needs to take place. And I'd be happy to be of support to you with that, to anybody with that. But I just want to like lay the foundation that it is not a quick fix. It is not a magical pill. There is still a lot of the same work that that JR is doing with you now about like regulating your nervous system. What is your diet? There's a lot of, like I said, there's just a lot of foundational work that needs to happen first before that can even begin. I stumbled into it. Like I took psilocybin recreationally my first time. I literally lost my fucking shit. And fortunately, like I had been 5 months sober at that point. I had already been working on my regulation strategies. I had already had my diet under control. I had already been doing a lot of the, like I said, the foundational stuff that we're encouraging you guys to do before that happened. So thank God I had all that in my back pocket. And so I was able to integrate and take that information and do with it in a more ceremonial and positive way. So I hope that answers questions, but also gives you more context.
It does actually. I thank you for that. It's a journey that I've been wanting to take uh concerning a lot of trauma from my past, but I'm definitely interested, and I know you're very busy, so any way I can, I did add you on Instagram. Or
Amazing.
Oh, shit.
you good? It's okay. I got it. So anyway, what would be the best route to contact you to learning and educating myself more on this?
Yeah, so definitely just shoot me a DM. I am actually building out a book right now. That's what I'm doing kind of like in my downtime. And
Okay.
I'm working with a business coach right now, so that should be launched in a couple of months. But I'm definitely happy to like start like I said, supporting, but just keep in mind like there is a lot of pre context that needs to go into play, but I'm definitely happy to answer questions.
I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Craig.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your story and what you do. I relate to it a little bit. I have a bachelor's in human services and counseling, and was shooting for my master's in counseling to become a licensed clinical or licensed counselor. I wanted to focus specifically on drug and alcohol counselor. Um, and my friends seem to be, I'm the one that they call when their girlfriend broke up with them, when, they're, like you said, their mom's pissing them off or whatever, you know what I mean? There's some kind of situation, some kind of crisis going on. And I'm the one that they call, and their girlfriends call me to like, hey, he's doing this, and so I just I guess my question for you, I'm interested in the sober companion thing. That's a thing. Also like I'm interested in neuroscience as well. I had a traumatic head injury when I was young. I hit a brick wall and actually took a chip out of the brick wall in my forehead. And I don't know if that really did anything, but at a young age, it was a pretty serious injury for such a young age. And then my mother was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So basically, it's the body attacking itself, the immune system. And uh, just see, I've over the years, I've really become interested in exploring learning about my own nervous system and how to regulate it. I think that is a huge thing for me. I'm learning about breath work and learning about how to read how my nervous system is trying to communicate to me
Mhm.
and how I can communicate back to it and, interact with it and not try to necessarily control it, but collaborate with it. And so I just kind of, maybe some education on that where I might be able to reach out for that. And just, do you have any suggestions on what I should do? Like, I kind of want to go into the life coach kind of deal, but also just kind of learning about, I want to finish my master's degree in counseling, but like where to go with that, with the whole neuroscience in mind. And yeah, I hope that was clear enough for you.
Yeah, it was extremely clear. And I think that the path that you're on is really beautiful, like being able to be that person that people can lean on, right? Like I think that that's the thing that's what JR is doing, right? Is that like we're showing how each of us can show up for people when people weren't able to show up for us initially. And I think that when the world starts getting to a place where we know how to safely hold space for each other, then we won't need to necessarily turn to substances when we're alone or in group settings. Like we'll be able to sit in a around a fire pit and be like, this is this is the shit that I was having today, and this is what was really challenging for me, and just being able to like be there for each other and to show up for each other, right? So you're already off to a great start. And being a part of something like this, right? You're learning a lot of tools, right? You're learning from JR, you're learning from all the rest of the people in this group, right? Like that's the one thing about this community is I don't see it as a hierarchy. I see it as a circle where we all have wisdom and we're all bringing it together. And I don't care how many days I have, right? Like I still struggle every day. My nervous system isn't perfect. I'm still working on, you know, what's going to make me a little bit more regulated today than it was yesterday. So like we're all here learning and growing and evolving together. With the master's degree, like obviously like that's going to be really amazing. You can go down whatever path you want when you're getting your license, your clinical license, and you just obviously reach out to your counselors and let them know like what your end goal is, so that way they know how to like properly pace you like in the courses and things like that. In terms of sober companioning, I can definitely send you like a couple different contacts, like in a DM. So follow me, send me a DM. Um, you can just know it's not consistent. That's the thing. Like I could get 10 gigs. I can get asked about 10 gigs in a week and then end up not going anywhere because like trying to get an addict to agree to support, right? Like I mean we all been there. So
Yeah.
it's just it's a gamble. But I think it's a really beautiful space to be in. I really love being in the home because clinical settings are really contrived, right? Like people can really take a lot of information in a safe space, but when they're in the environment that made them sick in the first place, it's like how are they able to lean on those tools, right? So with that being said, one of the things that you had also asked about was like how do you build greater communication with your nervous system. I'm actually working on a program additionally right now about the emotions wheel. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the emotions wheel, but it's a multi-ring level wheel where like basically our most basic emotions are kind of like on the inside, like anger, sadness, joy, whatever. But then there's higher levels of intensity for each emotion that kind of like sends it out into like a hierarchy. So it's like anger isn't like it's not just like you can be angry, but then you could be enraged, right? And so like there's different levels of anger that you can experience, in which case there's a different type of um like nervous system tool that you'll probably need, right? Like what you need when you're sad versus what when you're angry are going to look very different. What you're going to need when you're angry versus when you're raged to completely enraged, those are going to look completely different too. So I'm building that out right now, actually, and I'm gonna be I'm happy to give that out for free. So like I said, follow me, send me a DM. I'm gonna send it to JR so he can maybe send it out to his big community. Just because like again, the work that I do right now as a sober companion, like I make very good money because of the families that I work for are very affluent, but I do believe in equitable access for all. When I was a school teacher, I taught children with autism because I wanted to ensure that those kids had the same education that the rest of the population had, because that has always been my mission, is to ensure that everybody has equal access. And so with that being said, that's the reason why I'm going to be really starting to share a lot more on my Instagram, because you do not have to pay high ticket price to heal and to move forward in your recovery journey. And so anyway, so yeah, I'm going to be making a lot of free content, a lot of free tools, and that is definitely something that's on my list. I've been working on it today, and I should have that up probably by the end of like next week or something. So just be on the lookout for that. Did I answer everything for you? Oh, and I love that you're holding the fidget. Like that in of itself is regulating. I have rings on my thumbs that I spin. There are little tools and little strategies that we all use that we don't even realize are helping us stay regulated. Like when you're shaking your leg, playing with like a little fidget or whatever, like there's little things that you can do to help keep you kind of grounded, so you're not like jumping out of your skin or wanting to anyway. So anyways, I just wanted to say that like you're already utilizing something to support yourself now. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's funny you say that because about the fidgeting thing. I go to the coffee shop pretty much 5 days a week to do my work. And the other day I'm sitting there on my laptop and some lady's like looking at me, and then she's like, and I have my headphones on, I don't know what the hell's going on. And she finally goes, "Hey, excuse me." And I take my headphones off. She's like, "You're shaking the whole table." And I was like, because I was doing that thing with my leg, which I guess I always do, and I didn't even realize it. So then I went into this whole deep dive, looking up like why we do it, what it means, and like, and then now I realize how often I'm doing that. My leg is just always going at it. So now I have to. I was trying to be like, now I'm trying to be mindful about it, and like, it kind of threw everything off. I didn't even realize I was doing it till.
So one thing too is like educating people around you.
Yeah.
Like I use this to regulate my body. I'm sorry that this is disturbing you, but this is the reason why I'm doing it. Like I think people need to be more aware of helpful tools and strategies to normalize the fact that we need to be regulating ourselves. Like my client, like she likes to get up and pace around the room when she's having a conversation with somebody. And it's like, that is totally appropriate, but let's just let other people know that you're not completely like dismissing them and you're actually focusing. That's required for you to focus, right? So it's just a matter of just like communicating with people and start making it normal. Like that was like the one thing, and I don't mean to go on a tangent, but like, so my children with autism, so I taught children with autism for 13 years, and most people understand that children with autism STEM, right? We all fucking STEM. Everybody stems. It looks different, but we all do it. So like, let's normalize the fact that we all need to do it, and like stop making it be so outcasty and start making it like be the norm, right? Like we all have nervous systems that need regulating. We live in a very, very energetically compacted world. Our nervous systems are so dysregulated. That is the reason why we're using substances, is to disassociate from the fact that we don't feel comfortable in our own skin.
I've heard some of it called I don't know if it's the same thing if it applies, but like shaking your leg like that is also known as psychomotor agitation. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what I learned in counseling. Or in school, you know what I mean? That I may have not applied that correctly, but I was told that like the constant, like, just hopping your knee up and down while you're talking was like in counseling session is known as psychomotor agitation. And for one, it comes, I think, from like what Ashley was saying, that, just needing to regulate your nervous system, but it also tells the counselor it's something that we take note of, that kind of gives you a little piece of information about the person.
Well, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of dive deeper into, okay, well, what's dysregulating me right now that I need to regulate myself, right? Like it is your body communicating for you to be more aware, right? Like what was going on in the coffee shop that maybe made you feel a little bit unease? Was it because you're in a public place? Was it because of a to-do list that was on your mind? Like, did you have a conversation with somebody recently? Like there probably are a lot of different things that you can sit there and try to unpack and be like, okay, like how can I set myself up like whenever that situation arises, So it is your body communicating. So it's a matter of you just understanding or trying to decipher what that communication is, and then it'll support you in the long run and setting yourself up for success.
Love that.
Yeah.
Halana, jump back in.
Yeah. So question for you, for somebody who's used, some really hard drugs, is it normal that you've seen somebody like have behaviors afterwards? I'll just use me for example. So I did a lot of meth and a lot of crack, and I find that I grind my teeth or I'll bite the inside of my lip continuously, and so I never used to do those things. Now I do those things, and I've tried everything possible to regulate myself and to not do those things, especially around people. But I'll catch myself doing it, and I'll even have people like, "What are you doing? What is that noise?" I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, and I'll try to use like stress balls. I'll try to do like breathing techniques to breathe in my nose to not breathe out my mouth. Well, not necessarily not breathe out my mouth, but I find that if I kept my mouth closed and start breathing through my nose more, focus on my breathing, that would work. But those are the hard, like those things matter. I mean, people notice those things that you do that is probably unhealthy for me because I'm grinding my teeth and, you know, um, hurting my teeth and biting the inside of my lips. So is there anything you could suggest, for somebody who's recovered from that type of stuff, what I could do to cope and do the, past that?
Well, thank you so much for being super vulnerable and sharing and utilizing yourself as an example. I know that that's obviously like, a really sensitive thing to share, and I'm honored to be able to support. So essentially what it is like we've used substances to disassociate, right? To numb, to totally like not be present in whatever it is that we're experiencing or we're feeling, right? And so because you have the absence of the substance that is now not allowing you to disassociate, you're sitting in the actual experience that at one point you probably didn't feel comfortable. So now you're in that and more or less uncomfortable, right? Like, social situations can be very trying on us, right? I know myself, like I get social anxiety. I wear a
Mm-hmm.
ball cap everywhere I go.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm outside the house, like I cannot and so anyways, so with that being said, the tools that you're using right now are great. So it's just continuously doing that. Like, I don't know how long you've been in recovery, but just know that consistency is where the change happens, right? So give it a little bit more time. The breathing techniques are really, really great because people actually can't even tell that you're doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to do box breathing. So I don't know how many of you like have probably heard this, but like you inhale for a count of 4 and then you
Mm-hmm.
hold your breath for a count of 4 and you can feel your body literally ground,
Mm-hmm.
and then you exhale for a count of 4, you hold again for a count of 4 before you inhale again, right? And so you literally, those pauses where you aren't breathing, where you're literally sitting with the breath inside your system, I can feel it in my body. Like I can feel my energy completely shift down. Another thing that's really good is during the exhale, you can hum. So when you hum, it helps re-regulate the nervous system. It helps you kind of like basically like cut ties with like the anxiety that's kind of coursing through you and channels it into like a more pleasant experience. So and like I said, people, the humming, obviously, like do that like when you're on your own, like in the car, but the count of 4, that box breathing, like you can do it and nobody knows that you're doing it. um I'm a big person, like I do self-inflict a little bit of harm too. Like I will stab my fingers or like the insides of my legs, like where people can't see me. I do kind of chew on the inside of my jaw, my cheek too, like when I'm having a really tough conversation. And again, it's information. It's like, okay, what is going on right now that's causing me to engage in this kind of behavior? Because it is something that's obviously making you uneasy. And so it's a matter of, is it the people that I'm hanging out with? Is it the conversation that I'm having? Is it the environment that I'm in? Like what else is going on? Those are cues, right? For you to be able to be like, well, maybe this isn't the person that I'm supposed to be hanging out with, or maybe this isn't the environment that I'm supposed to be at. Like there's so many other things too at play. Like it's a hard thing to sit with when you're in recovery because like you're so used to hanging out with the same friends and you're so used to going to all the same places, but you don't realize that it's like it's those people, it's those places that are really like impeding on your progress, because like they're the ones that made you not want to feel comfortable in your skin to begin with, which is why you were trying to disassociate from it. Like, I mean, it's a hard thing to be honest about, but we have to be honest about it.
I appreciate that. So I've been in recovery a little bit over a year. So I've been sober and clean off substance for a little over a year. Meth off of 2 years, but crack and everything else off a year and 4 months. But it um so it and that's what you said there. For why where's when I'm doing it, what's happening at that time? Where am I at? I could be anywhere. I could be with my son having a great time and I'm doing it. Like and that's what I started understanding too. Why am I doing this? Like so it's just now it's like a constant. It's
Right.
because it's so ingrained. I don't hang out with a lot of people. I'm working in a great career that I absolutely love. I work around a whole bunch of funny people, like it's great. Or a challenging career that I'm challenging stuff too, which then I'll find myself doing it. So I've kind of eliminated the people, I've eliminated the situations in that aspect, but it's now because I'm so ingrained to doing it continuously, even when I'm happy, anxious, or just concentrating or whatever. So now it's like trying to figure ways to do that. And I appreciate you, talking about, the box breathing, and maybe start tapping or something. I don't know. But,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
love that you've already kind of dissected like your life, right? Like I love that you've already kind of determined that some of those more actual factors that were playing into it. So maybe additional strategies, because essentially then what it really kind of boils down to is that it is kind of like a learned behavior. Like it is something that you have probably relied on so heavily in the past. So how can you replace it? Replace it with something else. Maybe getting a drink of water when you're like grinding your teeth or chewing on the inside of your mouth, right? Like getting an ice cube, doing something that like can kind of be more oral fixation, but it's not necessarily like causing you harm or pain.
Okay.
Things like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Love it. Greg.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on what Helena said because I relate to that. My drug of choice was ecstasy. I also did crack and cocaine and all the other stimulants and meth and all that good stuff. But it's been a long time since I've done any real stimulants, So, but what I catch myself doing when I'm excited or nervous, stressed out, my girlfriend even says something about it sometimes, is my jaw. Like I'm constantly just, just working my jaw around, and like I catch myself doing it all the time. I'm like, dude, what is going on, brother? And then like if I get excited, like there's what they call cute aggression. So like I see my girlfriend and I give her a hug and I'm just like, I just want to squeeze you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, why am I gritting my teeth? I almost broke my teeth. I'm gritting them so hard, And I learned a lot about where I worked with a kids camp with different disorders, different illnesses, and things like that. And I learned about the stems and all those things. And I was like, dude, I got those too, And but one thing that like Ashley said for me was like chewing bubble gum. Like I chew on my lip all the time, and I'm constantly like working my jaw around, and like sometimes my tongue will even get tired because I'm like working it around in my mouth. And but chewing bubble gum, like suckers, like just some little small dum dums. They're just little simple, low calorie. I don't do them all the time, but whenever I need something, I'll pop a piece of gum, or a sucker or something. And also like stretching. And I'm not talking about just like a quick, little hamstring stretch, like for 5 seconds or whatever, but I'm talking like taking like a good 10 to 30 minutes or more of a good full body stretch. I've caught my like it activates my nervous system. I start feeling rushed and feel like I got to get through this. And I'm asking myself, like, I don't have anywhere else to be. Why is my nervous system suddenly like charging up? And but I work through those, and afterwards, like my body feels so much more relaxed. I stopped doing all the stems that I normally do. The breathing helps me. I do that at work all the time. I'm constantly walking through the aisles, just breathing through my nose, and I know like when I'm and what else I wanted to say too was if I pay attention to my life throughout the day, I can identify what's really like causing me to do all this is like my nervous system is upcycled or upregulated or whatever you want to call it. It's like hyped up because deep down in my mind and in my heart, I'm worried about things like my financial situation, my relationships, things that you don't talk about just with anybody and everybody. You know what I mean? And so when you go to work, you smile and be like, "Oh, I'm cool, I'm good to go," But really, I'm like, I'm having an anxiety attack inside. So we ignore that. That's what I love about AA. That's what I love about what JR is trying to teach us and show us is being able to just focus on like identify those things, write about it, journal about it, and sit with it and explore it and talk to yourself lovingly and caringly. But those are some of the things that just helped me. I don't know if Ashley may have spotted some things that are like not correct, but
No, I think all
but
those are great. I
yeah,
think they're
yeah.
fabulous. Yeah, thank you for sharing all that.
hmm definitely the gum and the like the stretching and positive self-talk, box breathing, hydration, exercise. Like I found out, like sometimes I'm like, why am I so anxious? I have nothing to be anxious about. And then what I'll do is I'll go for a jog. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. I just go for a jog, and when I come back, my anxiety is toast. Like I feel I'm fine, and I don't know where it came from, and I don't know where it went, but it's not there anymore. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a way of regulating. Again, like you said, I mean, it's about getting that energy out. Like all this. Sometimes I feel this built up energy, and if I don't have anywhere to go with it, I'm definitely like wired up. I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I'm jumpy, I'm irritable, I'm like, but once I find a way to let off that energy, whether it be through working out, jog, go for a jog, I guess that's working out too, but just letting out that energy, even like shaking your hands and like doing those stems, helps regulate that nervous system really, really good. And like the whole what JR's taught me though is really just like the nutrition and the exercise and taking care of my body and talking to myself properly and learning to just be okay where I'm at and challenging myself to do new things and be better. Uh, and just enjoying the journey is helping me out a lot. And a lot of those stems and stuff that like Halana's talking about is slowly releasing. I'm not doing them as much. And it's just a process, man. We did this to ourselves for years, so it's not going to go away just like that. So anyway, I probably talked too long, so I'll shut up.
You're a talker, bro. You're a talker.
It was helpful information though. It was helpful
Yeah.
information. But one thing that I want to just like throw in there real quick is what I do with my clients is I create a choice board essentially, and you literally make a list of all the different things that we've already been talking about and add to it things that really help you with regulating your nervous system. So drinking water, doing the box breathing, having gum on hand, going for the walk or calling a friend. I'm sure there's a lot of different tools that you guys might use. I like to take bubble baths. There's little things that you can add to this choice board. And essentially what it is it's already accumulated. So anytime you're feeling dysregulated, you don't have to think about pulling something from thin air because you already have a list, right? Put it on your phone, put it in your notes section, have it taped up on your fridge or somewhere in your bathroom or whatever, and just utilize it as like a little cheat sheet, right? Like whatever you're like, I'm dysregulated. And so like if you can't think of something off the fly, it's because you already have it like written down. So you're already one step of setting yourself up for success. But I just wanted to say that before I forgot. But I'm happy to answer the next question.
Cool. Is that Vinny?
Yes, sir. That's me.
What's up, brother? Chime in.
Not much, man. I appreciate you inviting me in on this group. I saw your
Absolutely.
post. And for me, I guess I'll kind of tell you a little bit like my background is so I'm in the group with you with Justin in that group, and that's been helpful as all get out. But my background is all like something started as a party drug like cocaine and drinking and all this stuff. Started as like socially, and then it just progressed from there. I'm somebody that likes high stim, so like it went from cocaine, dated a girl, we started smoking it, and then eventually got into meth, all that stuff. Like just the downhill spiral went way downhill. I lost a really good girl that I loved, and all that stuff. So, but my background, well, and like my surroundings, like it doesn't make sense of why I ever went down this route because like my surroundings, I have great family, great friends. None of them do this kind of stuff, at least as far as I know. So like one of the reasons I wanted to jump in on the group was like to be able to talk about it because that's the thing is like I think only my little brother knows everything about me. Other than that,
man.
I
Just
can't.
out there.
Yeah.
It's therapy.
Yeah. I mean, that's for me. Like the gym has always been my saving grace. That's the only reason I'm not completely, out living, being fucked up on fentanyl on the streets is because of the gym. That's the only reason I'm not.
And so, I think like, well, what you're saying like about the environment thing and how you grew up a certain way and stuff like this, I think that, there's things that you might not even realize that happened in your past. Maybe things that realize when you're a kid and you're just something in your subconscious that, or just the environment for that you said the girlfriend got you smoking it and this and that. But I'm sure there was something that triggered it that you might not even realize. I know that for me, I know that it got really bad when I got back from Iraq. So I don't know, maybe that's got to be, I'm sure, a trigger. But you know, I always was drinking, and I had a family of alcoholics, and you know, so that didn't help. But it's I learned, and after a while, it's really cool when you think when you get sober and you start thinking about it, like why did I do these things? And for instance, like I thought I was mainly just trying to cover up some trauma from being in war, but I realized that I was having it was really came down to a self-esteem issue, and I know now that really the main reason I was fucking drinking and doing drugs and partying is because I wanted to hang out with this group of people because they seemed like my friend, and I had so low self-esteem that I wanted to be party guy and be cool and everyone be around me and they want to hang out with me, and I'm outgoing now and I'm laughing and everyone's laughing at me and I'm acting like a fucking idiot, and it made me feel a part of something, whether that something was terrible, a terrible thing to be a part of, but it made me feel a part of something. It made me feel like I had friends, because other outside I realized outside of that I'm a very lone wolf type of guy. Like I don't, you know, I don't hang out with a lot of people. I have two friends. I come on here, I talk to my friends on here, and I have my kid, and I have a couple friends that I see every once in a while, but I keep to myself, you know, and I think that was the only time that I was able to have that feeling of a real fucking community, but it was a bunch of dipshits who were doing cocaine all the time. So, but yeah, I mean, something triggered you. I'm sure something triggered you. You just don't even realize it.
Yeah, I always try to like, now that I've kind of, well, it still always lingers, man. It's always one
Yeah.
of those things where it's like I could be on straight for a year or two, and then it's not even actually, to be honest, I've noticed it's more when things are going good in life. Is
Yeah.
like when like I don't know, all of a sudden I start thinking, you know what, it ain't gonna hurt. Like fucking,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's
this
like
is,
the devil calling you back in. It's just like,
yeah.
just do it, and then you're back to square one. That's at least that's how it feels,
Yeah.
So
Well,
just finding this community is more like I guess I need trying to find something to cope with when like those thoughts come in, like
yeah.
where I'm just like where I can just stop and think for a minute, like, okay, you know exactly how this is gonna go.
Yeah. 100%.
Talk to somebody that you can
Yeah.
relate to, and just
So,
have them to tell you to shut up, tell your mind to shut up,
yeah, no,
like
and that's what it is. I mean, it's really you really fucking learning to stop in that moment and really think about it. And I'll send you something, and it's kind of something that I kind of like Ashley was speaking about like well, I have a worksheet. It's about like how to handle triggers and everything like that. So having, and like she said, having a fucking plan at all times. And I make everyone in the group kind of, we go through what I call sobriety toolbox. So you have like a list of things that you can pick out a few of them and say, okay, this works, this works, this works, and pick out something that you think will work for you, whether that's box breathing, meditation, calling a friend, going for a run, doing push-ups, leaving where you're at. And that's what the thing with relapse is, like she said, and this is what I believe, like a relapse to me is data, you know, and you can find out, okay, well, where was I when this happened? How was I feeling? Where was I? Who was I with? What was the environment? What was going on in my life at that moment? And figure out why. And that's when you have your plan in your phone. Okay, well, let me do this. Who can I call? And that's why I try to, like, one of the things I provide for everyone is fucking call me, text me. I'm available 24/7, except obviously when I'm fucking sleeping. But I try to be like communicate. But that's what it comes down to, man. Just having a genuine understanding of how your mind works and what situations are going to trigger you, and having a plan for when that moment arises. So
I
yeah.
appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you. Like,
yeah, and
yeah,
and
because
join us anytime. I'll send you the links and stuff like that. And
thank
yeah,
you.
you go on Justin's call on like Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, as long as I can make it with work. I,
Okay.
I drive for FedEx, so sometimes
Okay.
I'm driving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll get you linked up.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Craig, jump in.
Yeah. I was what was the guy's name that just talked, that
That was
just
Vinny.
spoke? Vinny. Nice to meet you, Vinny. I'm Craig.
Nice to meet
Uh
you.
yeah, I wanted to say too, I mention AA a lot when we talk here, and AA is not the only way of sobriety, right? There's plenty other ways to sobriety. But one thing that worked for me, and that JR I think includes in his program is a similar to AA, is this like inventory of yourself and your emotions and your thoughts. And one thing that was so freeing to me I think everybody in here has probably done some, some dirt, you know what I mean? So, and it's probably not too far off from each other. Like, uh, so setting down the 4-step inventory, like the things that I'm angry about, I'm afraid of, the things that hurt my feelings, the people that did crappy things to me, the crappy things that I've done to other people, the institutions and the things that I'm mad about, like the government or whatever, you know what I mean? And then writing all that down and then inventorying, like, why does this bother me? You know what I mean? And what can I do to make these things right, to clean up the mistakes that I've made, and at least attempt to, even if I can't, like this, hey, I've done what I could do. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And really, it's just, it's for me, it's turning around and identifying, like facing those demons. And you may already know this. This may be something that's nothing new to you, but
I'm all up, man, so yeah, I
being
appreciate
able
it.
to being able to sit down, like I had a birthday cake, what we call a birthday cake of papers, of inventory, of my sex conduct, of my harms to others, my resentments, my fears. And I sat down with another grown man and confessed everything, things I said I would take to the grave with me, things that incriminated me. And I had a person that I trusted to keep their mouth shut about it and give me some good perspective on it. And they wound up sharing some things with me that when I shared my stuff and they shared their stuff, and I was like, whoa, and I was like, man, you're messed up like me. You know what I mean? And so I formed a real human bond with another person. And they had dirt on me, I had dirt on them, so we're not going to tell on each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we formed a brotherhood, and after that, I felt so free, man. I felt so like, whew, just like that was so freeing to me. And now I'm an open book. You ask me, like, I'm subject to tell you some crazy stuff right here online. You know what I mean, in front of everybody. So,
Trust me, I do it all the time.
but it's because I'm confident, I'm comfortable with who I am now, and I made peace with those demons. And and I had to do some time. I'm not saying you do, or that's a smart thing for you to do. Like if I owed the drug dealer $1 million, I wouldn't go, "Hey, buddy, I'm sober now. Sorry, I know I robbed you for $1 million. I don't have it." He's probably going to come break your knees. You know what I'm saying? So maybe don't do that. But I did have to go do some time for some of the things that I did. I faced up to it, and I'm free because of it. I can look the world in the eye and say, "Yeah, I did my time. I paid my restitution. I'm a new person. I don't live like that anymore." You know what I mean? And then there's no dirt that you can bring up on me. There's no mud you can sling on my name because I've already owned up to it, bud.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a freeing thing for me, man. And it's shadow work. Anytime I'm bothered, why am I bothered? What is bothering me right now, and why is it bothering me? Is my social instinct, my financial instinct, my sexual instinct, my ambitions? Are you messing with my pocketbook? You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing. Analyze those things, and then I go to my God. I go to prayer and ask God to show me the right answer to handle this situation. And I talk to people like JR, and I let people know what's going on with me. I'm not perfect. I'm not always cool. I'm not always in good shape. I'm not always good to go. Sometimes my heart is broken and I feel like breaking down and crying, man. I'm not, I'm a man, but men cry, men, men have weaknesses, so it's okay to be vulnerable with the right people and to find that help and address those demons, man. I think that's the biggest thing, because I can avoid my problems by working out and doing other stuff and finding other ways to avoid what's really going on up here and up here. But when that gym's closed and it is 2 a.m. and there's only, Ashley's not available or somebody's not available, what do you do then? How do you handle it then? You know what I mean? And so that's where the real work starts, man, is just looking at those things. But here I go again rambling. So
I'm gonna get to
yeah.
Halana, and then we're gonna have to cut it off because we're at an hour, and I don't want to hold everyone up. And Ashley was nice enough to give us some of her time. So Halana's got a question for Ashley, and then after that, we're gonna break off. Go ahead, Halana.
Okay. Ashley, real quick. Two questions. During your journey in sobriety, have you gained and got in touch with your spirituality? And then another thing is, what is being at home with living with somebody 24/7 who's going through addiction, how long do you usually do it for? And when do you decide to step away, when you think it's right to step away?
Yeah, those are some really great questions. So to start, I am a very spiritual person. When I started my journey, that was actually the reason why I did not identify with AA, because I was not in a spiritual space at that time. And the way in which AA was phrased was actually really put off. It was a really big put off for me. Um, and so that was one of my main reasons why I didn't navigate down that path. But with the psilocybin that I had taken recreationally 5 months into my recovery journey is when literally I channeled my, like, some higher being, and it gave me all of this information that I then took to utilize in my healing journey, right? I was told that I was a broke individual, that it was time for me to start healing, that I needed to finally let things go. It gave me tools of different things to look into that I had never heard about before, like what Craig's saying. It told me about shadow work. I had no fucking clue, right? Like this was during COVID. Like this was really before like influencers really made a shift and how they showed up for people online and how we accessed information. I didn't know what shadow work was. I had no idea what interfamily systems therapy was. I didn't know what some of these other components were that were shared to me. It had to come from something else. It had to come from a higher power. And so when I had integrated all that the next morning, I realized that like my own interpretation of my experience was that my life was an entire lie and that I needed to start going and seeking the truth. And that was when I started really unraveling like this identity that I had created. You know, kind of going back to what the other individual was kind of like sharing, you know, some people don't have trauma, but what they have is they've created a character that doesn't actually belong to them based off of their environment, right? They have literally distance themselves so far away from who they are authentically to be able to to be included in the friend group or to be praised by their parents or to be promoted at work, right? We're constantly shoving ourselves in boxes that we don't necessarily belong into, and that eventually breaks a person, right? Like when you've literally stuffed yourself into a mold that you were never destined to fit into, you eventually break. um so during my healing journey, I literally like shedded all of these identities that I had falsely created for myself. And I literally got back to my bare roots, right? Like I was down in Costa Rica, I was barefoot. I didn't have makeup on my face. I didn't have acrylic nails. Like I wasn't this character that I had created. And it gave me an opportunity to really, really redefine who I was, what felt most in resonance with me. Now everybody's familiar with a pendulum swing, right? Like when a pendulum starts over here and it's dropped, right? What do? You go to the other up end of it, right? So I went from being like completely atheist, I don't believe in God, don't go to AA because I don't believe in that shit, to what did I do? I ran to the jungle because I wanted to be a spiritual girl. Like I wanted to be a part of this new age spirituality. And then I was like, oh my God, this is like the demon in fucking linen clothes. And now I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of cults, right? So here we go. We moved back to the States and now we're like in the middle, somewhere in the middle. Like, okay, what does a relationship with a higher power look like for me? It doesn't have to look like it looks like for Craig. It doesn't have to look the same as it looks for JR. Like what does it look like for me specifically? So I do believe that there is something higher than us, but I also believe that we're co-creators with it. And that's really essentially what we're doing is like we're co-creating this life um with support, with other things that we cannot see that does have our best interests at heart. And so I hope that that kind of answers your question a little bit. I love that question. I think it's a beautiful one. In terms of the sober companioning, it always looks different. Every client is uniquely them, right? Like just as individualized as a snowflake is, as a thumbprint is, no two clients are the same. And that's one of the things that I love so much about like the work that I get to do and the work that we get to do is like really redefining what it looks like for us specifically, right? Like, and I think that that's one of the things that I love talking about so wholeheartedly is like, yes, we can provide people with frameworks, but it's not, again, with an intention to stuff you in a box. It's just not. So each client is very different. Their needs are very different. Their goals are very different. So the amount of time looks very different. But essentially, it's like, what is their goal? How much time do I have? How do we build structured and support systems to ensure that you can be on your own? And essentially what does that look like? It looks like, what are your tools and strategies that feel most comfortable for you? What are your, like Craig was saying, write down what your triggers are, write down what your different ideas of what makes me scared, what makes me anxious, what are all these different things. And again, like I was saying before with the emotional wheel, right, is like, okay, now you identify what are all these things that come up for me. How can I then take the list of my sober tools, like what JR is saying, essentially the same thing that I'm saying, your choice board, and now you designate those specific things based off of the different things that you've already identified with, right? Like it's honestly just awareness, self-awareness of like, this is what my environment is reflecting back to me, what is within my control, and what are my goals, right? Are my goals to revert back to old ways, or are my goals to try and really work towards my new habits? And the thing that I think people don't realize, or maybe they do realize, is how simple this is, right? It is challenging because like Craig was saying, right, like we've got decades of doing it wrong. It's not going to be an overnight way of us really like leaning on those tools immediately, but the most important thing is how simple can we make it, right? Like the simpler you can get, the more, the greater the chance that you're going to lean on it, and then the more consistent you'll be with it, and then you're like you're like a, racing towards towards the winning goal, right? So I hope that answers and provides some insight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
I think somebody
So-
wrote something really sweet in the chat. Image of a creator. We were created to create. Yeah, love that.
All right.
Go ahead,
So
Jared.
thank you so much for today. That
Absolutely.
was so cool of you. And thank you for doing that last minute.
Absolutely.
It is very much appreciated. And I have some questions maybe off to the side at some point to ask
Yeah,
you.
we'll chat.
I think
Yeah.
I think I even wrote you a little bit ago telling you like about spirituality. I want to dig into like what you do and learn a little more.
Let's do it.
But yeah, but thank you everyone for showing up. I appreciate you. And it's important for you guys to come into these calls because I bring different guests in and you could take little bits and pieces of each thing that we do and really just expand your mind and do different things and learn what it takes to really become the best version of yourself. So,
Well, the opposite of addiction is community. So lean on your community. That is the most important thing that you can have at this time, is identifying with other people who get you and understand you and can hold space for you.
That's what
So,
and the coolest thing is like how, a lot of us, we're all very different people in a lot of ways, but we're also very much alike. And it's really cool to like come together because of that one thing that we all have. So I
well, and it's
appreciate.
just, and like you said, it's just, you realize that we're actually a lot more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
And like, that's the beautiful thing about having these kinds of circles is like when you start sharing your story, you realize, oh my God, you've experienced it, I've experienced it, they've experienced it. And then you realize that you're not in isolation anymore. Like you're not the only one.
Yeah.
And that is a very empowering place to be.
Cool. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. See y'all.
Thank you guys. I'll see you check in with me in the morning and I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks guys.